It's early. G'day, mate.
Hello there, mate.
What's up, guys? We're in a car. I know what you're thinking. We're in a car? That's fucked up. That's not our normal place to be. What's going on? What's happening? But it's fine, because Tom's going to explain it to you right now.
We're in a car. We're off
Yeah.
to see a screening for Detective Pikachu.
We somehow tricked the nice people at Roadshow Films into thinking that we're an actual YouTube channel, and they sent us, they sent us 3 tickets to see Detective Pikachu early, 4 days before normal people, because, as you know, YouTubers are better than normal people. So, it's me, Tom, my girlfriend's back there.
Hi.
And we're gonna drive to the movie now. Should I run over this old man? What are you thinking about this movie, Tom?
I'm just hoping that it's better than Sonic.
I'm most worried about what the Pokemon look like, because if the Pokemon look fucked up, that's gonna be fucked up. Can you give me the camera so I can... Yeah, sure. Dude, I can't believe you're actually gonna do that.
I kind of really want to see Blastoise fuck Charizard.
I want to see a full penetration Pokemon sex scene,
That'd
but
be great.
I know that the world isn't ready for that. Tom's hungover, so he's eating eggs in the car. Can you do a food review of the eggs?
I mean, texture-wise, it's quite alright. It's like, kind of parts are a bit undercooked, but
And you cooked them, you?
yeah, I did.
So you're to blame. He's going to the movie too.
We're gonna go.
In many ways, life is a movie. Okay, put that in. Alright, let's get to this movie. Alright guys, we're here in the parking lot. We're gonna go check this movie out.
Yes.
What do you think of that movie?
It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be great.
It's got the word black in the title.
Nah, not great. There he is, the star of the film. Are you gonna get a photo with him? This is the great thing about preview screenings, is you get free popcorn and water. Isn't that great?
It's fantastic.
I heard Pikachu says the N-word in this movie.
Yeah, it's true.
He says it 20 times
21.
after the full penetration sex scene.
And on behalf of Warner Brothers, it's my pleasure to invite you to the special preview screening of Detective
Darker
Pikachu.
than the Battle of Winterfell in here.
And the film stars Ryan Reynolds, Justin Smith, and Catherine Newton.
2 hours later.
What? That movie sucked. Shit! Wait. Did we leave that filming the entire time? Let's keep talking about the movie in a nicer looking location. Okay, so it wasn't shit, but it wasn't great. It was fine. Let's start with the good stuff. The good stuff, there's some good stuff. Mostly the Pokemon. If you're like a Pokemon fan, or even an actual Pokemon fan, not just like one. Can you imagine that?
I can't.
Being an actual Pokemon fan. The CGI is great. All the Pokemon look very good. They look like real Pokemon. I haven't seen a real Pokemon, but I imagine.
I agree.
You kind of hang out to see what each Pokemon is going to look like in this new art style, and that kind of helps drive the movie forward. There's some very nice shots in there, and they integrate the Pokemon really well with them. It's quite a nice looking film with the combination of CGI and the cinematography, and the actors are all very attractive. They're all very good looking.
They're doing a
people.
great job at that.
They're doing a great job at looking good.
Things are just better when you're better looking.
You wouldn't know much about that.
I don't. The Pokemon are great though. You buy into it fairly quickly. The interactions between the humans and the Pokemon are great.
It works. Everything to do with making the world look like a real Pokemon world works. The
Yeah.
problem is...
Let's not get into the negatives just
Damn
yet.
it, I wanted to get into the negatives, Tom.
Considering how big Pokemon is,
It's quite big.
you could just go the ultimate route of just having every little moment be some like tip of the hat or wink to
Like a
one
little
of the
fan
games.
service.
Just gratuitous fan service. And this really sticks to its roots of being the detective story, and the little bits that they do show in there that call back to various games and stuff. I think it's done tastefully.
I would go one step further and say I would like a little bit more fan service, particularly in the soundtrack. I kind of wanted to hear a bit more Pokemon music in it. There were a couple of little nods, but there's no like, I wanted to hear, like Pallet Town music or like one of the Route
16 or something.
That kind of shit. Yeah, I keep singing these things.
Well, you do have a heavenly voice.
Thanks, man. The music was good, but it wasn't great.
Yeah, the soundtrack could have been a little bit more dynamic. But yeah, let's get into
The meat and gravy, the Taurus meat and the Pikachu cum gravy.
Okay. The whole script and the direction of the plot and everything, it's fairly standard. The detective story, even though what we were saying before about how there's not like a whole lot of fan service, the detective story that like keeps it through, it's a lot of cliches.
It feels a lot like they put the world first. They were like, let's build this world, and then a story happens in the world, and that doesn't really matter that much because we have all these Pokemon and we have this franchise to carry, which is kind of true about it because for me personally, the movie was watchable, or even enjoyable, simply because of my appreciation for Pokemon.
Yes.
And I was sitting there cringing at the story a lot at parts. Very exposition heavy, very hand-holdy, but then again, it is a film for kids.
Like, the more time I think about it, the more I'm like, that story isn't what I'm going to remember at all. It's just the world. It shows promise in terms of building a franchise. This could have been terrible.
It also could have been great, and it was neither. It was fine. But where it fell short was the writing and the performances.
Lots of exposition, a lot of flashbacks as well, which is, while marginally better because it is more showing than telling, it's still so easy.
They were just trying to decide whether they should tell a story with dialogue or flashbacks, and they decided both. Every single time something that you might miss comes up, they shove it in your face twice, and it just makes you feel like something is being shoved in your face twice.
And in that regard, like, the direction wasn't as tight as it could have been. A lot of the visual effects were good, but in terms of just camera movements, there was probably one shot that I was like, okay, that's actually pretty cool.
The direction is impressive in terms of how they managed to get the project looking the way that it does with all the CGI, because I know that's a difficult thing for a director to achieve.
The lighting on the Pokemon as well, like through the streets, is like the shadows and stuff. It all worked really well.
It looks great, which we've said a million times. So let's move on to the acting. So the acting, the characters. So the main character is played by Justice Smith, who you may remember as the super fucking annoying guy from Jurassic
World 2: Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah. So he's awful in Fallen Kingdom, and he's fine in this. In this film, he doesn't have much to work with, both in terms of the script being pretty bare bones and some of the lines being a bit cringy, and also the fact that he has to act with a tennis ball.
Well, like whatever it is
that they're putting in place of Pikachu. Maybe Ryan Reynolds' disembodied head.
Oh yeah,
that would have been good.
See, that would have been easy to.
That would have been great. And speaking of tennis balls, his co-star, who plays Lucy,
Catherine Newton,
she leaves a lot to be desired.
Her very first scene, I was like, I'm not gonna like this character. With the games, everything is so accentuated. The characters have like really high personality, strong personalities and like really quirky. It seemed like she was kind of like the Misty, almost, not really Misty, but
Well, I would say that like the first scene that you're introduced with her, as you said, immediate hatred. She has very Spy Kids 3 vibes, if that makes sense. Like
there's that fast talking reporter that's like always just ignoring everything around them, and they just got to get the job done, and they're just insufferable.
Just not an actual human. So far removed from how an actual human would act. But I will say that in the following scenes, it did seem like she kind of chilled down a bit and wasn't as abrasive, but still not super impressive.
I think she, whenever she had to interact with a Pokemon, there was that look of just looking at something blank.
Yeah.
And just in the urgent scenes, when like we're supposed to feel some sort of like danger for either her or other people, I just did not buy it at all. That's probably how
Justice Smith had that background of Jurassic World, so I think he's had a bit more experience with CGI Dino, so he felt a bit more comfortable with it.
The star of the movie though is Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, he totally carries the movie on his shoulders. The character of Pikachu is funny, great, charismatic. Basically, there's about 15 to 20 minutes before he's introduced. Great cinematography, a really cool Pokemon scene, and I was like feeling optimistic. And the girl comes in, I'm like, and then Ryan Reynolds came in, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be an enjoyable movie.
Yeah,
it's just like Deadpool. He's like Deadpool in Pikachu's body.
And you can complain about that. They say like that's not how Pikachu should be, but it works. It's so easy to just like turn your brain off, for lack of a better term, and just have a blast.
Yeah. The other cast, there's Ken Watanabe as
like the head of police or something.
The head of police, and he's not in it that often, but he does a good job.
It's fine. Yeah.
Bill Nye's in it. I would say that he does a typical Bill Nye fare, which is good. There's one character in this who is hilarious.
I'm gonna look his name up.
I don't know if it's intentional, but he has a very obvious villain persona. He's got big aviator sunglasses, and he's constantly like.
He's Chris Gere?
Yeah. I would say he's a standout performance in the movie for me. He's not in it often, but
if you sort of look at this movie as like an ultimate cheese fest, he
He's the Swiss.
Yeah, he's amazing.
He's great.
He's great.
It sort of gives me the idea that this movie could have been a very interesting kind of cheesy comedy, because there are a lot of comedic elements, obviously mostly brought by Ryan Reynolds, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't describe it wholly as a comedy.
It doesn't have as many jokes as I think it lets on. The trailer makes it seem like it's like a really like straight out of comedy.
Yeah, but they do delve into dramatic territory.
Yeah,
often and with limited success.
Yeah. Just imagine if they went full noir mystery.
Yeah.
But it is for kids, so...
I think the movie
Yeah.
did suffer slightly because it was PG rating. I think there is things that could have made the world a bit more convincing that would warrant an MA rating. Such as Pokemon prostitutes, Pokemon...
You can already say,
Pokemon
right? Just
prostitutes.
get the Jinx out, get them in the red windows. Just,
Licky
you know.
Tongue,
Who else is there?
obviously Don Fan,
Yes.
obviously.
Done. Oh, ooh.
There are little hints at like a underground Pokemon fighting scene, which is like, I think, one of the cooler parts of the movie for me.
Yeah.
And the Diplo cameo. Which, it did spoil it. Yeah.
I'm interested in the world.
Yeah,
That's
the
what I'll
world's
say.
nice, which is if they're setting up a franchise, they got the world right, so that's all good. But the story is underwhelming. It has some nice parts. There's a couple of interesting things that they do with the story that I didn't expect, but a lot that I did expect.
Oh yeah, there's the main foe.
The main villain.
It's very obvious, like right from the get-go.
Yeah.
And say
They take the story in an interesting direction in the third act. It surprised me, and
Yeah.
I thought it was a nice...
that I felt was like very heartfelt.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
nice. It was good. And the way that the movie wraps up is quite nice. Very, as you said, it's
Yeah.
very convenient. It feels like they don't really give a shit about the story. It's merely just a way for them to show you the world.
Yeah.
and the world is nice.
That's what I give them credit for, because like other films that try to start franchises, they don't even get the world right.
Yeah,
They just are like wanting to push that product out so that they can make their own MCU or whatever. But this, I'm happy with.
a good director, good writer, this universe has a lot of potential. But in terms of this movie, I'd say I'll give it a 5 out of 10 as a film and a 6.5 out of 10 as a Pokemon fan.
Okay, yeah. I'd probably give it about a 6 out of 10.
The one question I would ask is whether it's worth watching if you're not a Pokemon fan.
I mean, that's why I think Ryan Reynolds helps a lot.
Yeah, well, Ryan Reynolds
Because-
is funny regardless. But is there anyone who isn't really a Pokemon fan? Like, everyone at least thinks they're cute.
There were a lot of ahs and oohs
Yeah.
in our cinema, so the cuteness is all there.
I would say if I didn't like Pokemon, I think the story issues and the acting issues would grate me a lot more, and I would have less of a good time with the film. But I would say definitely if you're a Pokemon fan, watch it just for the Pokemon, just for that, because they did do that right, and there's a lot of half-assed franchise reboots or like franchise attempts
Yeah.
out there that just
Attempts?
don't do as much as this one did. So give it your money. Why not? You know?
But the big question, is it the best video game movie?
Look, it's not saying much to say that it is, but if we're not counting Scott Pilgrim and
Yes, like movies that are specifically based on video games. I'd say
it's probably
the best that
up
we've
there.
got, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not saying much at all.
Not really, like what have you got to compare it? Like Super Mario Brothers, Resident Evil, those ones. I mean, Tomb Raider last year wasn't that like awful.
It wasn't that awful.
It was okay.
Worth a watch, yes, if you're a Pokemon fan.
And slightly less yes,
Slightly less yes.
yes.
Leaning towards, I guess, if you're
If-
Ness or not a Pokemon fan.
Or that. There's Pokemon.
There are Pokemon.
This Pokemon looks nice. Humans are a bit eh. Story, eh. Soundtrack. There's one great track in there at the very least. So like,
Which one?
credits. I enjoyed the credits.
Also,
Yeah.
the credit sequence, really nice. Really enjoyed that.
Yeah?
Visually, it's a very nice thing to look at. They have all the characters. I won't spoil
Oh
it.
yeah, yeah.
But they
actually did
They
like
kind
that.
of redo the characters in a Pokemon style. And it's really nice because it also makes you appreciate the costume design, which I thought was one thing that I really liked that I just thought of then.
Yeah.
Costume design does a really good job of bringing Pokemon
It's subtle.
style into the real world without hitting you over the head with it. And all the extras look like they're out of the Uniqlo catalogue. It's
great.
Which is great because we're both wearing Uniqlo white t-shirts.
Ideal.
Not sponsored.
Every
Please
single day.
sponsor us. I didn't make you change. I should have made you change.
Fuck.
Damn.
Now you need to change.
Fuck.
Fuck.
Alright, that's the end of the video. See you guys.